Believers, what I want to point out to you is that sometimes people don't fight because they want to win. Now, you may think if you start a fight, you intend to win, right? Well, not always. Something about the fallen mind that's a bit intriguing, and it comes to the following. When worldlings, namely reprobates, but not only reprobates, but when worldlings in general, when they have invested against something for so long that they've become exhausted by resisting something, and the thing they've resisted just won't die, or it won't collapse, or it won't go away. On contrary, it even seems to get stronger while they are getting weaker in their resistance. When it gets through to them that all the effort they've made against that one thing has been useless, that all the time has been spent for nothing, and that they won't get neither the time back, nor the resources back, nor the relationships back, because often when worldlings resist something, will sacrifice relationships just to prove a point, that once they realize that they can't get anything back and there is no long-term gain in resisting that thing, they realize that they can't go back, and to give up now means that they have to accept the losses. And accept the losses implies that the thing they've resisted for so long, or the individual or the group they've resisted for so long, is going to be far better off, and they're going to be worse off. And they have to live for the rest of their lives being worse off than the one they've hated or the one they resisted. Well, once this happens, believers, worldlings lose their minds. They lose it. Imagine, for example, there is a war going on, civil war, and people hope that the king loses the war so that they can establish a republic. So for a long time, it seemed as if they were winning the war. They already had the Republican flag, a Republican anthem, and they already had a new constitution. But at the last moment, the Republican forces are defeated, they had to concede, and the Republican forces were so depleted and impoverished that they couldn't recover. So all the promises of a great republic without that king that they've blamed for everything is now gone. And that same king and his heirs and his supporters will now be in charge again over all those people that resisted the king for all those years. And they now have to live every day breathing under his rulership, hearing how they were defeated and how they spent years of their lives investing into something that didn't work out. Are those people going to accept that? No. They will back off for a while, but then they will retaliate. But this time, they will become suicidal. They will become so enraged that they don't care if they die in the process. They just don't want to bear their loss. And when they can't find the king to attack, they will attack anyone else. They may even attack some of their former comrades that support them in the Republican cause. This is just an example I'm giving you. Just realize that there are times the world will fight you, not because they want to win, because they know they're going to lose anyway, but they fight you just to preserve their self-respect. They don't want to face how wrong they were, how much it has cost them, and they don't want to live with the implications. But they don't want to die either. So they are suicidal, but they don't want to die. They are suicidal because they don't want to remain alive. They don't want to deal with reality, but they don't want to kill themselves either. So what happens is they will seek death in such a way that the other kills them, so that when they die, they'll be perceived as martyrs. They won't be around to benefit from the glory as martyrs, but they want to have the last say. They want to have the last hurrah. That's what they want. And if they have to get the last hurrah by destroying themselves, they will do it. Yes, they will. And once a population has reached that point, they will riot, they will go around screaming down the streets, they're willing to commit any type of evil just to relieve themselves. That is why when the Belgians were revolting against King William I of the Netherlands, eventually When things got out of hand in the south of the Netherlands, um, Britain, as well as some German states, told King William I, let them go. We'll appoint some German prince to become the king of a new country called Belgium. Let them go. Because things were getting out of hands down there. Because there's one thing you need to realize. Once people have reached the state that they become collectively self-destructive, it's then that things as terrorism begin to grow. It's then that terror groups are formed. Because remember, when people are miserable, eventually they will look for other miserable people to commit crimes together. So when you have a population that's upset and they can't get out of the consequences that they want to escape, neither is blaming anyone else effective anymore. Eventually, you'll have misery groups that will rise up that will begin to commit various sadistic crimes on that same population. That's how it goes. That's why that's why in politics, often when there is fierce resistance from population, politicians tend to give in to what the people want. Why? Because if they remain harsh against and they shut down the resistance of the people in a violent way, then the result can be that within maybe 10 or 20 years, there are going to be misery groups haunting the whole area. And nobody wants misery groups, because once misery groups are there, you will have to deal with them as mortal enemies. Because once misery groups are formed, those people are so brainwashed that the only way to get rid of their violence is either by them turning to Christ, and when that doesn't happen, you'll have to shut them down. You have to kill them. Because if they go to jail, they will put others in jail. Nobody wants misery groups to emerge. So that is why there comes a point in your walk by faith that society will stop attacking you. It's not a ceasefire, nor an armistice, it's a capitulation. There comes a point that your enemies or the people that are invested against you will just capitulate. They will just flee. They will lay down, they will throw away the cause. Why? Because they realize if they want to persist, they can persist, but they will all lose their minds. They will all become miserable creeps that will haunt each other. They can feel it coming, and they don't want to end up that way. And you know what, believer? That is how we defeat this world. By exhausting them, so there is no option left for them than to capitulate. Because either they capitulate when they're exhausted, or they become miserable creeps that devour one another. It's one of the two. Because when the world cannot shut you down, when the world cannot undermine you, when the world cannot sabotage you, and when the world cannot get rid of you, what's left for them? They can't fake being on your side because they've done too much against you, because that will be hypocritical on their part. That will be too embarrassing for them. And even others are going to charge them with charges if they do that, because they also harmed others by being so angry against you. So now they need to explain to others why they're suddenly for you. So when there's no option left to win, they'll become determined to lose. But they want to lose in such a way that they at least can blame you for their loss. I've explained this before. So understand, believer, there are many conflicts out there that are not meant to be solved. There are many conflicts in this world: political conflicts, relational conflicts, religious conflicts, financial conflicts, economic conflicts, cultural conflicts. There are many conflicts out there that reprobates have put in place. Why? Just so that they can throw others in their misery to feel relieved. They have no intention to find a solution, just that those conflicts are there to have something to complain about, to have something to fight. And in politics, you have many of such useless conflicts. For example, you may have a frozen conflict between Brazil and Uruguay concerning a plot of land that used to belong to the Viceroyalty of Rio de la Plata during the Spanish Empire, and later when the Brazilian Empire, that means when Brazil became independent, took over, they annexed Uruguay. So when Uruguay became independent, uh, there was a dispute upon a plot of land that should belong to Uruguay, but Brazil claims it as its own. So now you have this frozen conflict. But what is this conflict really about? About some plot of land that's not even economically relevant. Brazil is such a big country and you're fighting for such a small plot of land. The truth is, Brazil is not interested in the plot of land, neither is Uruguay. The pagans that lead both countries, they want something that they can use to trick the masses into a distraction when needed. You have similar conflicts in Europe. For example, you have some islands near, not really an island, on the river between Portugal and Spain. You have a small island that's now administered by Portugal, but it's really Spanish territory. There are issues about that. But so you have many of those conflicts that you ask, why do they even exist? They're not there to be solved. The fight is not meant to be won. It's meant to distract. It's meant to provide relief. That's what it's meant to do. Because you may think, doesn't those leaders have better things to do than arguing about plots of land? They do. And they do better things. Those conflicts are kept there on purpose. Now, the same way that states, that means governments, keep useless conflicts in existence to have something to distract the masses, the same way worldlings themselves will keep on fighting you just so that they don't have to look at themselves. So just think about it. If they're so consumed by resisting you, they don't have any time or effort left to look at themselves and to improve where needed. So then they don't have to take any responsibility. That means that whatever goes on around them will be blamed on you because they're resisting you. You have to be the bad guy or the bad girl so that nobody has to face themselves. It can be, for example, let me give an example to you. It can be that you have, let's say you're a female believer and you have several women that are hating on you. And you don't even know why they're hating on you. They're just very angry towards you. They treat you worse when other people are around. So even other people thinking, what's wrong with those people? Let me tell you why. Many of them cannot relate well to their husbands because they've been sleeping around here and there. So they have all these emotional um, baggage that they're carrying with them that hinders their marriages. But for them to face everyone they've slept with and to become clean about it to their husbands is something that's going to be quite painful and something that's going to may even end some of those marriages. So they have something that they really don't want to face, but it's too obvious that it's affecting them. So now, by looking at you and being angry at you, and by conducting smear campaigns against you, there's now a distraction. So after they're at home, they can talk to their husband about how much they can stand all of that, and the husband is giving them comfort. So because of that, there's distraction now, and they're now using you as a target to salvage their marriage. It will only work temporarily, but it works. It can also be, for example, that a corporation is about to go bankrupt, and right before the corporation goes bankrupt, they promote one of the managers to the second hand of the CEO. And as a second hand of the CEO, he is actually in charge now of the corporation. And 2 months after he's promoted, the business goes bankrupt. So when the debt collectors and the creditors come, they will check who was running the corporation. And then the one was recently promoted, the right hand of CEO, he'll be the one responsible on paper. So he's the one that goes to jail for dysfunction of the corporation. So the corporation is bankrupt, the employees lost their jobs, but the owners of the corporation are off the hook because they have found a scapegoat to put it upon. Why? That position of a second CEO was only created to have some distraction so that attention is taken away from somewhere else. So realize, believers, not all conflicts are meant to be resolved. Some conflicts are put in place as distraction. So recognize such conflicts. The one way you recognize such conflicts is by realizing that the conflict has been going on for a long time. Sometimes it's not even clear why there's a conflict to begin with. And here's the thing. In every conflict, there's something someone wants to preserve. That's why there's a conflict. Whether it's a plot of land or whether it's a relationship, there's something someone wants to preserve. Now, if it's very vague what the parties are wanting to preserve, then you know that this conflict is not really a real thing. It's an unreal thing that they keep in existence so that the real things that need to be dealt with can be avoided. That's how you also have women out there that keep sleeping around with bad men and keep complaining where are the good men, because by doing that they'll keep having a source of attention from people who pity them, and by doing that they don't have to take responsibility for their bad choices. Listen, many worldlings will fight you just so that they don't have to face themselves. Many worldlings will come against you not because they want to win, but because they want to self-destruct. But they want to self-destruct in such a way to trick you into fighting them so that when they self-destruct, they can bring you with them in their ruin. Or if they can't bring you in their ruin, they at least want to get to ruin while fighting you so that people will blame you when they get to ruin. It's a type it's a type of suicidal thought, but instead of literally um, put themselves in danger to be killed, they trick you into an argument so that they now can explode. And once they explode, the fault will be either fall on you or you'll be dragged in their misery. That's what a lot of people are after. Some people want you to hate them. Some people want you to turn on them so that you are in a negative, because once you are in a negative, just like they are, they can easily have access to you and they can dump on you and drag you to hell with them. Yes, you have people that want to drag you to hell with them. So, you're not supposed to appear at every argument you're invited to, because you will be tricked into defending yourself. Don't do it. Walk away, walk by faith, and overcome violence. Be at peace.